And we're back with On the Record with Kevin and
Tiffany.
My name is First now. On 9:30 a.m. The Answer, home of conservative talk radio. That's a good entry, wasn't it?
I see you've been conspiring with my younger brother to try and push yourself to the front.
I have not.
You've been getting some of his little lawyerly advice. All you got to do is squat. You're basically becoming a squatter.
You're calling me a squatter? Oh, yeah. My God.
Yep, all you're right. A name squatter, Kevin. A name squatter.
All right. That is funny.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And that's the Lord making you cough. You can't even hold yourself together. Anyway.
All right. So, we've been in this first quarter, we've been talking a lot about kidney health. We've been talking a lot about really advocating for oneself to do that. Right. And my thing is, I identify as American descendant of the formerly enslaved. Right. And the reason I do that is because for me, it's important that people understand you can have an identity. Right. And whatever that identity is, you can have that, but you can still work with other people in going out and trying to achieve a common good. Right. So that's why I put a lot of emphasis on that. So one of the things that's what we do with the foundation and also with my consulting is what we do there as well. So let's talk about a couple of things, Tiffany. So what are the things? We'll keep it on the positive side. What are the things that you really enjoy about being a kidney advocate?
Well, I like the patients. Mm-hmm. I like talking to other people and just seeing what, how have they coped with this? Mm-hmm. I like seeing other people's style of advocacy. Mm-hmm. There are some amazing advocates out there. So I enjoy that. But I really enjoy the people and making sure that the information they need gets to them, because people are so happy to receive free services. They're happy to know that somebody's there and in their corner. Mm-hmm. And, there's something to be said for having your neck hugged by a person at the end of a screening. Mm-hmm. There's something to be said for people really recognizing what you're doing, because as many people know, we've lost over 70 family and friends during this pandemic. It's hard when the sound of people being gone, the deafening noise of silence is difficult. And so when you experience that, it changes you. You can't just keep putting up with the same stuff and doing things status quo. Mm-hmm. Because often when we're dealing with systems, people, you just do what you have to do, and you'll say, oh, okay, well, that's just how they do things. Mm-hmm. It's just how they do it. But when people start dying around you, it's unacceptable to say that's just how they do it. Because somebody's gone that shouldn't have been gone. Yeah, so for us, for me, and I know this is true for you too.
Well, let's see what you're going to say. Cause you're
seeing that we just literally were like, we're either going big or going home. Mm-hmm. So we're going to pour everything into making sure our community understands what's happening. Mm-hmm. And by our community, I mean Black and brown people, and I mean poor white people too.
Yeah, and I tell you
this is an economic issue as much as it is as it is racial. This is economic in many ways.
Okay, so here's the thing that I see, right? And I make no qualms about my political affiliation. I'm B1, right? Black first. But as you go through this process of building out coalitions with other people, you see other people's sufferings as well. And you're like, whoa, this is impacting other groups of people. Not just Black people, not just brown people, not just poor white people, but people in general. And I always say how you treat the least among us is how you're going to treat all of us. else. And what you often find is that a lot of our friends are better off, well off financially, right? And they're going through the exact same thing that other people are going through with this particular disease, chronic kidney disease, right?
Yep.
And so for me, everything revolves around economics, right? In the sense that, okay, what are the incentives of all the people who are involved with the overall system, and how do we change those incentives, right? How can we disrupt
to benefit patients
and disrupt the system? So for me, patients and consumers are key, and they've got to be armed with knowledge and information.
Yeah.
And I've said this a few times on the show this month in regards to a lot of the medications and stuff that are available. It's like, the iPhone coming in and landing and no one's aware of it, right? And you don't really know, which oftentimes by wanting to educate patients, right, I run into conflicts with different people, with different medical professionals, right? Because they're struggling with, well, how much information do you give them? And I always have, this is my standard reply. Well, you guys have had almost 3 decades. It's 30 years to get your stuff together, and you haven't, because none of this information is new. None of it. You can go back, literally, you can go back the last 20, 30 years in the literature and you'll see where they're having the same discussion. How do we get doctors and healthcare professionals to run the tests, right? How do we educate the healthcare professionals to make them aware of this? And unlike Tiffany has a very positive view of it, right? In regards to, believing in the medical system and working with them. I don't. Right, because if you do not have a disruption in the system from the people at the bottom of the economic status who are paying for these services, if they don't demand a particular service, it's not going to get done. It's just how the country works. It has to come with a sense of outrage from patients and a demand for patients. So that is my view of it there. So it is tempered, right?
I understand your view, but my view is that I know I've met so many doctors, I've met so many practitioners across this state and across the country, and I know that the average practitioner it's in this to win better health, to win better things for people. They have good intentions. They're in a system that is giving them direction that is the wrong direction. Kadigo saying monitoring that, and people interpreting the monitoring to mean I don't say anything until this point. That's an example of a very good plan that is missing some pieces, right? Somebody needs to say, while monitoring, you tell them and monitor. That may sound ridiculously simple. It is still true. People are still human. They are. If you're following something, you're going to follow it until it changes.
We agree upon that. It's going to change and we're not.
We agree on the change part. He's like, nefarious. I'm like, no,
I'm not
nefarious.
I'm not saying nefarious, right? I'm not saying nefarious. I'm saying that people have to have a motivation outside of themselves when they've had 3 decades to change something and it hasn't changed, right? Literally, I think I quoted this statistic last week, literally in the last 10 years, there's been almost $400 billion spent just on end-stage renal disease. Not diabetes, right? Not cardiovascular, just end-stage renal disease and all the stuff that's around that.
In Texas?
No, nationwide.
In Texas or nationwide?
Nationwide, according to the end-stage renal disease data, right? And I come from a profession that says, whoa, if something that bad is going on,
that expensive
is going on, right? We need to go and look at the processes, procedures around this,
right?
And we need to start making change immediately. And for me, when I run into patients in the field and you see the quality of their life going down, I'm like, whoa, we don't have time to play pussyfoot around with the professionals. They've got to pull it together. together, right?
Yeah.
And so since we can't have a direct impact on those,
we have to prompt the professionals
to pull it together, and that can only come when you balance out the knowledge differential, right, between the patient and the doctor. I don't want a patient to know every single thing there is to know, but I want them to have enough questions to where they can ask, right? And I think the comparison I always use is that you don't have to know how to change a tire, but you have to be able to know, oh, my tire is low. Maybe I should put some air in it. Right? You have to be able to know, oh, yeah, that light on my car gauge, that means the oil is low and I should take it to a professional or to get the oil changed, right? Some basic things. And I think that's what our toolkit is going to provide at the foundation.
It provides transparency, and transparency is essential in healthcare. If my doctor sees something in my blood work, I want to know about it. That's not an unreasonable request.
And I'm sorry, just that the very fact that people don't get that these professionals don't get that is just nerve-wracking to me, right? To sit there and tell me, right, in the literature that I'm responsible for the outcomes of my health, which I am, right? But I'm coming to you as a professional to tell me what is going on with me, and you withhold information. To me, that is just crazy. I just don't get it. And I don't get how anyone interprets it that way. I know they do. I know they do, right?
But that is the reality of what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, these are.
That's what's happening. So, but here's the beauty. We've got the therapeutics. We've got our toolkit. We're getting our resource center. We are moving the needle towards transparency, better patient outcomes. And this is from Texas Kidney Foundation, health advocates, other building coalitions with people that are like-minded and finding solutions, and not just watching the problem grow.
I'm sorry, you're just kicking off every Republican intuition in me is like, government cannot be the answer.
I did not say government was the answer.
Like
all right. You're going to have to let this die. Here we are. And you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany and Kevin.
A true Republican.
Oh, what did you just say? You know what?
On 9:30 a.m. The Answer, home of conservative talk radio.